So we have the data, which is where you will input all the data. And this is the chart, the timeline, where the data will be used and reflected in form of a timeline. So I have my data on Roman emperors, the name of the emperor, the description. This description does not show up in the timeline. This is just your notes, something you want to remember. Start date of the event and end date of the event. So my data, as you can see, is being reflected in this chart. So I want to organize it in chronology. So what I will do is select this row and click this filter button. Organize this by A to Z. You can do it the other way around. You can also just manually drag the rows if you wanted to move something around. That'll reflect on the chart. Next thing you want to know is how to add more data. Ideally, don't just start adding a new event. It will just not show up. And that is because there are these formulas between columns E and L. You want the formulas copied over, because if you don't copy the formulas, the chart will not be able to make sense of the data. So instead of just starting to add new data, just copy over the previous row. The negative sign denotes BCE dates. So anytime you are inputting an event that happened in BCE, make sure to use the negative sign. Another thing I want to show you is how this table works. So let's go to the setup. Data range is you click on this and then you just select the new table. Another thing to know in setup is this y-axis. This is your y-axis. If you don't want the y-axis, you just remove it. If you want something else as a y-axis, you add it. This is the series. This is all the formulas that are being used behind the scenes. Just leave it, you'll be fine. Let's go to customize. So let's start with chart style, pretty straightforward. Background color, border color, fonts, chart axis and titles. So this is your chart title, this is your subtitle, this is your x-axis, which is the horizontal axis, this is your y-axis, the vertical axis, and you can format all of them. Series is the important part, which is what's making this whole thing work. I have multiple series here. Some of them are invisible because you don't need to see them on the timeline, but they are doing a lot of work. But the one we are concerned with is P bar and N bar. P bar and N bar combined together are these. This is what shows up on the timeline. P bar is all of the data that's positive. N bar is all of the data that's negative. So this is 0 between -10 and +10. This is your 0. Anything on the right of it is P bar. Anything on the left of it is N bar. You need to know this when you're changing colors. You don't like this color, you want to change it. So you want to change the color of P bar and N bar both. But you see the entire data did not get changed. Parts of this timeline are in the negative. So you want to change N bar also. And there you have it. Legend, I don't really care much about the legend. Feel free to add one if you want. Horizontal axis, here you get to choose a few important things. Let's start with minimum and max. These are the boundaries of your data. My minimum boundary, I go as far as 130 BCE and as forward as 110 CE. Now, depending on what timeline you're plotting, you can just change these numbers here. Vertical axis, just font and size and colors. Grid lines and ticks. I've had a major line at every 20. So these ones in green are the major lines, and the minor ones every 10 years. And you can give them colors. This is what major ticks looks like. These are minor ticks. You can change the step 50 years. If you want to show a minor grid line every 5 years, this is what it would look like. Say you want to only format one data point. There is, for some reason, you want Julius Caesar to show up as a different color. You click on this. This chart will open. Keep clicking till only the Julius Caesar section is selected. And then you can format. Google Sheets give you an option to format just one data point. Here's how you do it. And then it'll show up here as a uniquely formatted data point. You can always delete it, then you'll go back to the standard formatting for the rest of the sheet. This data point, as you will see, it's all left-hand side of the 0, so you don't have a P bar here, so this is straightforward. Let's try formatting event that spans BCE and CE, say Augustus. So if you want to just format Augustus, so you will format one side of it, and then you will format the other side of it. That's how this works. So this is plotting one period or one set of events belonging to a period. I did a compare mode in case you wanted to compare two timelines. I wanted to compare major Marvel and DC movies and TV show in the 2000s. So I got the data. I went and individually formatted the data points that belong to DC data. Another thing to know, this label left and label right. Label right will appear on the right hand side of your bars and label left will appear on the left hand side. But you should also know that it will not always appear. It'll appear in the cases that there is an N bar. N bar is the negative bar. Anywhere you have a part of your data extending from 0 to left hand side to the negative section of the x-axis, it will have an N bar, and hence it is capable of showing you a label on the left hand side. Anything beyond that, you'll just have to show labels on the right hand side. This is the way the sheet works. So thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.